So we move to chapter 2 of the ISC2 CC, which is certified in cybersecurity. And chapter 2 is basically on incident response, business continuity, and disaster recovery. So, what you are going to be tested on is your ability to differentiate between these three terms, as well as understand what should come first and how it should be outlined. That's basically what the exam will be about. It is domain 2. Mostly you see D2, that means domain 2, and when you see L2, that means lesson 2. So basically, this is everything we'll be covering. How organizations respond to, recover from, and continue to operate during unplanned disruptions. Unplanned disruptions are what we are basically looking at under business continuity and disaster recovery. Recall the terms and components of incident response. You see some specific terms to incident response, you need to understand them. And summarize the components of a business continuity plan. This one is important. You need to understand the components in a business continuity plan. So we are going to be looking at all those, along as the components of the disaster recovery and the terms. So we have a tab here for chapter at a glance. Okay, so they have a quiz at the end, and we'll go through all of those things. So the first thing you have to understand is understanding incident response. Very, very necessary. Now, normally when you hear incident response, you should already know that, okay, an incident, something that goes wrong, and the response to it is obviously incident response in that particular situation. So that is there are some terminologies we should understand in incident response. Very important terminologies actually. The first one is a breach. Obviously, we've watched movies where they mention breach about 1,000 times or so. So yes, when you have a breach, somebody has broken into your organization and you've completely lost control of the whole situation. So the definition is right there, and that is what a breach is. I doubt it actually comes into
Breach,
the organization, into the exam
the
so
loss
much.
of control,
So I'm not really going to
compromise,
stick with it.
unauthorized
We also have what we call an
event,
event.
any
Now, when you
observable
talk
occurrence
about
in a
events,
network or
I
system.
think I should somehow mute this because it's making a lot of noise. But anyway, when we are looking at events, an event is basically anything that happens at any point in time. Good, bad, doesn't care. Everything is an event. And that's why if you notice, we have events on our system. So if I click on the start button and type in events, basically they are the logs. That is what they are. Events are logs. So if you click on that, you're going to see a bunch of logs that come up with your PC. Each of those logs are events. Basically, every one of them are events, and that is what the SOC analysts view and look through and make their deductions from events. So you can see its logs and all of those. And back in here, we have an exploit. When we talk about exploit, basically, it's looking at the fact that something happened. So, an attack, an exploit, an open way that they use to get into your system due to vulnerability, like we discussed in the first chapter. The first chapter, vulnerabilities. We talked about vulnerabilities in there. So we also look at incidents, of course, like
Exploit,
we said before. When you
incident,
look at incidents, it is something that happened, basically, and how you
an
respond
event
to
that
it
actually or
is
potentially
the response.
jeopardizes the
I think we have two
confidentiality,
teachers right now, so let's
integrity,
just
or
wait.
availability of an information system, or the information the system processes, stores, or transmits.
Okay, that is great information. Basically, incident is still the same incident, you know. If you are familiar with English terminologies, most of this would be very straightforward. We have intrusion, obviously, an intruder intrudes into your PC. So, intrusion means the act of someone bouncing into your system. So, here we have the more technical definition. It
Intrusion.
says a security event or combination of events that causes an incident. So, that's what
A
it
security
looks like. Then we
Threat.
have the threats.
Any
When you're looking at
circumstance or
threats, it's something that could cause harm. Anything that could cause harm is called threat. If it's a human being or
event with
somebody,
the
if it's
potential
someone
to
that acts on a threat, we call it a threat
adversely
actor.
impact
I am going to
organizational
turn off the
operations, including
noise for
mission,
now because it's
functions,
kind of
image, or
disturbing. Apparently,
reputation,
I can't.
organizational
Wow.
assets, individuals, other organizations, or the
So we have to
nation
listen.
through an information system via unauthorized access, destruction, disclosure, modification of information, and/or
You can
denial
go
of
through all of
service.
this on your own, but basically, when you have a threat, it's something that could cause harm. Something, if it can act on a vulnerability, it's called a threat actor. So then we have a vulnerability. When it comes to vulnerabilities, these are weakness in the system. It could be a problem, like you have a JS code over here. It could be a problem in the code that allows someone to bounce in. Could cause an SQL
Vulnerability.
injection or anything that could have caused
Weakness
something
in
that will break into your system. That is
an
a
information system.
vulnerability. And
Zero
when we talk
day.
about zero-day
A
attack, it's a
previously
vulnerability that was
unknown
not
system
known previously.
vulnerability with the potential of
So,
exploitation without risk of
okay, let's
detection
just
or
wait for it to
prevention.
finish. So basically, with zero-day events, it's something that it's a vulnerability that was not known before previously. So 0 days, you didn't know about it before. So those are the terms you should actually learn about for this particular one. I don't think there's anything more in there. It's quite straightforward. And when you look at the goal of incident response, basically what you want to get with incident response is that you are trying to protect assets. Assets most times would be the humans, especially the humans in the organization. We have the systems, any other document that could be important. And incident response means you are responding to the incident in order to protect the asset. So we have an incident response plan, which is more like a documentation that gives you the instructions on how to protect against cyber attacks. In case of a cyber attack, the incident response plan is there just like a step-by-step procedure, right? A procedure that tells you about what is going to go on. Like, okay, protect yourself from this, do this, turn off the systems, switch off the networking plugs, send a message to so and so. This person has to be in charge of this, that person does this, just everybody's work being distributed among each other. So you can go ahead and read more on this, but that's basically everything in incident response. So we have a podcast here, which I do not need to play because they are just speaking about what has been written already. And now we have the components of the incident response plan. What would you find in an incident response plan? Very important to know if you're writing or drafting up an incident response plan, maybe as a CISM for a particular organization, you should have at least some of these components. So, components that you mostly see. For one, we would scroll through and then we'll see first of all the preparation. Of course, every step requires preparation first. You can click on it to see more about that particular one. Preparation, you develop a policy approved by the management. Take note, the management must always approve whatever the IT management is doing. The senior management needs to approve it. You need to identify the critical systems and all of those things. Train staff. You just need to know these things. I'm preparing you for the exam, so you just need to look through all of these, just as just look through them, just in case you are asked to identify which one is under preparation. But always take note, preparation is one of the steps. Detection and analysis is the next step over here. And with detection, obviously, what detection is saying is you detecting basically. So analysis is the monitoring part, and you analyze all the threats, everything. Just go around and make sure everything is fine. This is still fun. You are creating an incident response plan. This is according to NIST, and then we have the containment, eradication, and recovery, and then we have the post-incident activity. So, of course, the first time you are reading through it, it might look a bit weird, but basically, once you see preparation, detection, containment, and post-incident, these four are the components of incident response plan. So it's something where you just have to flow along with.
so to speak. So it's all objective questions. So you have to just you know you have to just understand them. And we have a video on speaking with the management, which is going to be under your preparation mainly. We won't be looking at that. Let's click through the knowledge check. So for the knowledge check, very important that you pause the video, try to answer the questions right before I answer them, of course, and see if your answers are accurate and tallying with what we are doing right here. Okay, so this is a drag and drop kind of question, so I just have to drag this to wherever it's supposed to mean. So what exactly is a breach? We have some options here: the loss of control, compromise, unauthorized disclosure, unauthorized acquisition, or any similar occurrence where a person other than an unauthorized user access or potentially accesses personally, that's PII, or unauthorized user, blah 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 blah. So breach. We also have an event that actually or potentially jeopardizes the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of an information system or the information system processes, stores, or transmits. So we have quite a lot of them, and basically, I know it cannot be a weakness in the system. This is how you eliminate the other solutions and just focus on the one you are going for. So, of course, it can be a weakness in the system. It's not a security event. A particular attack, it is named this way because this attacks, nope. Let's take this one out. Any circumstance with the potential to adversely, nope. I know it's not that. Any observable occurrence, no. This is obviously an event. So, loss of control, let's call it a breach. And events, let's put that observable occurrence in the network. An exploit, let me see, an event that's actually potentially jeopardizes the confidentiality. This looks like a breach to me, but I don't know. I'm just going to look through it. Of course, the exploit. Let's say a security event. No. Oh yes, that could be exploited. Okay, yes. So an exploit is obviously looking to exploit system vulnerabilities, and an incident. An incident. Let's call this an incident. An intrusion. Let's call this. No. Okay, yes. So, and then we have the threats. Obviously, it's going to be a circumstance, and a vulnerability is the weakness. So yes, this is a bit technical, and you have to understand all of the things that have been spoken before here to be able to get it. The good news though is that your questions are supposed to be objective, but you will notice actually that a lot of the definitions here seem quite similar. So you have to be on the lookout for them. If you got it this way, definitely you are going to be right. Let's try submitting that. Okay, so that is correct. Oh yeah, they mentioned here that some of the terms are close in definition, but it's important to understand the difference between each of them. So yeah, that is the idea. So at this point, we will be looking at the incident response team. We just checked the terms in incident response. I hope you remember the processes in incident response. Before we proceed forward, the incident response team would basically include a SOC analyst. So, SOC analyst, of course, is going to be in there. We have so many others of them. Representatives of senior management, information security professionals, legal representatives. All of these people would be included in an incident response team. Everybody has the activities they need to carry out while in there. So the team members should have training on incident response. There's a lot of things there. But what you need to understand is that the incident response team will have these major responsibilities. Very important. Yeah, although I did not really see much questions from this particular angle, you might not see so many questions from there, due to the fact that it's OPG, of course, but it's good to know, just in case, it's good to know. So we have a video, and you can watch the video. We have a video knowledge check. I've not seen that before. Let me see. Okay, so application, you can watch that. What happens with the incident response plan at this point? A, the incident response continues to be followed. They say, at what point exactly? Okay, it's based on the video, right? I do not even know what that one is. Okay, so that was based on the video anyway. Well, watch the video and answer it. We have module 2, understand business continuity. Now, I'm going to try to just summarize the whole thing, although they have a video in there that does that. But when we're talking about business continuity, we are making sure that even though something happens while the business is running, we are trying to make sure that you continue to move despite a disaster, right? It's different from disaster recovery in the sense that with disaster recovery, something bad has happened and it has shut down the whole thing. So you are trying to restore back to the former state, back to a state that was working, maybe through backups or something like that. You're trying to restore last backup. Everything had gone haywire. With business continuity, even though these things go down, you are still pushing the business. The business is still moving. So that's why it's important. You can read all of this in here. But once you have the idea, questions that come up on it will be easy to understand. Remember that these are objective questions, so the way you read for objective questions are quite different from the way you read for theoretical questions. We have a video on the goal of business continuity. One very important part is the components of a business continuity plan. So we are going to look at that right now. So all of the components we have, the first ones you see is the BCP team members, and of course, the response procedures. It's just more like procedures, a list of procedures for how to continue in case things go bad. Notification systems that will alert the personnel, mostly the SOC analyst. Guidance for management and how they are going to give each person authority for specific jobs. How to enact the plan. Everything is going to be in there. Contact numbers and all of those things is all going to be in a business continuity plan. I think I had one for it. I think I had a business continuity. Oh yeah, I have a business continuity template right here. Let's take a quick look at it. Okay, so this is an example of a business continuity plan, and you can see we have the introduction, the risk assessment, and all of those. I clicked on it already. So the scope, they're going to talk about the objectives, and then we have the plan assumptions. Then we have the risk assessment being done in here, like we discussed in part 1. And you can see the highly, most likely, the critical, all of those things. This is the probability, and this is for the magnitude, the warning, the duration. Duration will calculate how long that thing is going to affect the organization, and the priority gives you which level you want to put into it. So that's basically about that. And we are going to go back to our explanation. So yep, components, and we have a video and then the knowledge check. Let's go for the knowledge check immediately. Is the following statement true or false? An important component of business continuity plan details how and when the plan is enacted. Every plan will actually always have that anyway. So yep, that is complete. We have another knowledge check here. Know your business continuity plan. How often should an organization test its business continuity plan? Very, very important. So domain 2, lesson 2, 2.1, that was where it came out from. What do you think this is? I would have said something about routinely or daily, but well, let's go routinely. Yeah, so it's obviously routinely because it must happen a lot of times over and over again. And yep, business continuity in action. What do they have in there? Well, yes, business impact analysis. It's good if you understand this one. And basically, what it does is that everything that could affect your business, they let you know. You know, like the one I showed before, the document I showed before, there was a table there that was showing about the priorities, the impact, all those things. That is a business impact analysis. Although they go through assessment on it, but that is business impact analysis. It's going to give you a scenario of what to do. That is the idea. So we have module 3. We are moving straight into module 3. This is actually a long video, but still we are moving forward. You have to write the ISC2 exam, so of course you need to get ready. So module 3 is obviously disaster recovery. Business continuity is trying to make sure that business continues. Disaster recovery is trying to recover from something that happened already. It could be an earthquake, it could be a a wave of loss or something like that. It could be all their documents got destroyed. It could be anything. So basically with disaster recovery, you're recovering from a disaster. Most times it will involve you with a lot of backups and sometimes moving to a different site, entirely different things. So depends. So we have a goal of disaster recovery. What does it want to do? In the business continuity module, the essential elements of business continuity planning were explored. Disaster recovery planning steps in when business continuity leaves off. Obviously, when you can't really continue with trying to save the business, disaster recovery comes in. So that is what disaster recovery is all about, and that's what all of this is talking about. You can go ahead and read them. And disaster recovery in the real world, we have I think they're about to tell us a little bit about it. So I'm just going to wait. Let's see if that works through. It's taking too long. Okay, yes. So you have some clicky buttons here. You can click on them to see what happened. This is an hospital. Uh, it took them about 260 days before they recognized that they were already compromised. By then, everything had been destroyed. You know, the hackers had gotten into the file and infected it with the virus or something. So they had to restore, obviously, back to a backup. Speaking of which, at this point, I'll just take you to um, a little thing on Windows called snapshots. So what happens is you can have a particular snapshot of your system before you do something. So if that thing affects you, you can just go back. It's more like having a backup, but really a really quick backup. So I've forgotten the name for it. But I know if I type in recover, I should see it. Create a restore point. Yes, it's restore point. Restore point. Yes. So with restore point, you can restore back to a particular point in time if it has gone beyond what it should be. So once you click on this, okay, create, you can just put in a particular restore point. I would call this today, and it creates it really fast, and that's all once it's done. So basically what this hospital did was they just had to restore to a particular point and then started putting in the information back bit by bit. And on these other ones, we have some more information about disaster recovery, of course. But once you understand, because it's objective, once you understand what it is all about, you understand the whole disaster recovery effort, business continuity effort, it becomes really easy for you to answer the questions. That's why I'm going to put at the end a quiz on this particular topic so you can practice. We also have the components of a disaster recovery plan. Still almost the same thing with the business continuity. We have the executive summary, department specific plans, technical guides, obviously procedures, full copies for each member, and checklist. So just have all of this just in case, and we move from there. We have disaster recovery in action, video when lightning strikes, and we have a knowledge check in there. Which of the following is unlikely to be a member of a disaster recovery team? Just like a business continuity team, right? Obviously, the billing clerk should not be part of them. So, yep, billing clerk is not part of them. So, we have module 4. What module 4 is just giving is a summary of everything. So, you can go ahead and check on that. So, it can give you a better overview of everything. So, try to understand these definitions, try to go through each of them, and you will be good for chapter 2. So thank you very much.